we are raising children for their future world and we want it to look and be a productive place. How do we literally lift as we climb? Like, I do not believe that just because I had to struggle and trailblaze and learn things, that the people coming behind me should have to get it out the mud when I can give you a literal playbook to at least help you like skip chapters 1 through 5, start on chapter 6, and then keep going, because we all have a journey. We all do need to like go through things to develop our character, our morals, our values, etc. But like some lessons, if I can just read it in a book and just pay attention, can we skip this one?
Welcome to In Her Words. This podcast is for women navigating through change, career, identity, motherhood, and just figuring out what's next. I'm Roberta Dombrowski, host of In Her Words and founder of Learn Mindfully. Each episode, I sit down with women who are asking big questions, navigating transitions, and trying to make sense of life as it shifts. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just need space to be real. Let's get into it. Welcome, Amanda, to In Her Words. So excited to chat with you today.
Thank you for having me. A little Centaur reunion here.
No, for those listening, I went to high school with Amanda, and she has gone way farther places than I have. I'm excited to dig in deeper.
We are all on this journey, okay?
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to chat with you about, you talk a lot about being a first gen college student. High school, you went to very focused on college. And so I'm curious if you can tell me a little bit about your experience through college. What was it like being the first one in your family?
Yes, it was a journey is the best way to put it. Kind of like a roller
Yeah.
coaster, like a lot of ups, a lot of downs. For the high school that Roberta and I went to, like I think, did a great job of trying to prepare us as best as they could, understanding the demographics of the type of students that would be going through that program. Like, we had access to college prep courses and everything. So I was semi-prepared for the rigor of the work itself. I think the hardest part for me as being a first generation was not knowing the unwritten rules to navigating college life. So, for example, I think I loved math, I hated calculus. Like, if that makes sense. I love algebra, I love statistics. Calculus, my worst enemy. And so when I was going through it, I didn't know that I should have been like meeting with my professors in their office hours to literally help me along, even though they say it like, we're here for you, etc. But like, I came to find out after my struggling through calculus for like my first semester that there were students who were in their office like every Tuesday at 4 o'clock. And even the way people studied, like, it wasn't just studying for the exams of the material, but like folks were like studying like previous questions, like to understand how we would be tested. And as a first generation, you don't necessarily understand the systems in which you're operating in. For me in college, and then of course transitioning to corporate America. But I think the other side of it too is like the financial piece. Like, my parents helped where they could with, my tuition and things like that, but I was heavily dependent on scholarships and student loans. And you go to the school, and I was fortunate to go to an Ivy League school. Again, didn't even understand the weight of what that meant at the time. I was just like, I'm going to college. And it's like, oh no, but it's a whole different type of college experience. So I'm going out to eat with, my friends and everything. And like, they're able to like kind of drop some dollars on whatever cuisine we're getting, some Thai cuisine. It's like $30 is nothing to them. And I'm like, I'm working while doing my studies and everything. And this money has to also cover my books and my late night coffees. So it was a great introduction, I will say, to the reality of like the world we now live in as adults and those different socioeconomic buckets that we're placed into, and like the nuances of how we navigate and survive or thrive through them. But it was really, really challenging because for me, I went to the University of Pennsylvania, the Wharton School for undergrad. Like, I went in there knowing that I would graduate with over $40,000 worth of debt. So I had to make it worth it while also not knowing what it meant to make it worth it, so to speak. But I had to like get a decent job after college. And so it's probably the one area of life where I honestly wish I could go back in time. I try not to live with regrets, but I'm like, I wish I could do college again with a little extra money in my pocket, just because there was so much I couldn't take advantage of because I just couldn't like afford to do so. But I'm grateful for the experience I did have. But like, college is great if you have some extra coins to play with.
Yes. I can relate to that. What you're saying really resonates. Like, I went to RET for
Oh my gosh.
undergrad and very similar. I had scholarships. I was an RA through part of it to pay for like college. I still graduated with like $70,000 in
Oh
debt.
my God.
Um, yeah. It's a great school, great program. Like my best friends met her there. Even when I think about like the high school we went to, I felt like we were groomed to go to college, but not necessarily like groomed on what paths to pick. It was just like go to college, but not like, oh, if you choose this major, if you do this, this will happen. Like none of that. There was no conversations about
No,
that.
they were just like trying to get us there. And shout out to our guidance counselors because they definitely, tried their best to steer us. But to your point, to being a liberal arts major, it's a beautiful thing, but is it going to pay the bills? And depending on how many loans you take out, it might not be worth it. Or the whole, pre-med route that some folks are kind of forced down. For me, it was business. So I was like, this should work out. There's so many companies in the world, but even then, there's just so many pathways.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious, so you talked a little bit about when you landed on campus, some of your friends would like be dropping money just to go out to eat and stuff like that. I'm curious, how did your experience with money change when you landed in college and then even now, like to this day? Like, how has your relationship with money shifted?
Oh my gosh, it has evolved significantly over time. So, like, my first real job was when I was 16. I worked at McDonald's, like so many folks, you get a fast food job. And so, in
Hmm.
high school, at least, I had the experience of kind of saving a little bit because I'll say I was blessed where I never had like grown up responsibilities put on me before I was actually grown, if that makes sense. Like, I was not expected to contribute to the rent. Shout out to my parents thinking for that. That's what all kids should be able to, afford, which is not always the case. And so for me, when I was working my checks at McDonald's, I was able to stack up a little bit, start like paying my cell phone bill and just like little things, buy candy, go to the mall. When I went to college, in addition to having scholarships and student loans, I also had a work study stipend, which meant it was like I think $2,000 to $5,000. It ranged throughout the year, but I had to work to get that money, and it was part of my package. So it's like I need this money to pay for books and live and do the things, but also now I have to literally work while balancing my actual education, my classes. And then on top of that, I'm so focused on getting a job afterwards. So I'm picking up all these different extracurriculars. Like I was on the dance team, I was in a business organization, I was helping out with the basketball team. So like I felt like I was balancing six different jobs, honestly, throughout college. And literally my senior year actually had up to four part-time jobs at the same time because I was just like, I was crazy. I was hustling. I was on my grind. I was
I
like,
had the same.
like I need to build up my
Same.
resume to pay off these loans. Like you get it. And so throughout college, I was, managing my money well, but I didn't know about investing. And again, if I could go back in time, oh my God, I would have been investing in a Roth IRA just because at that point I'm not making too much money that I don't qualify for it. It's one of those investing accounts where you have multiple tax breaks. Like whatever you put in, it grows tax free. And if you tap into it at retirement age, like you're just swimming in wealth, basically. So at that point, I'm like, I could have probably put aside like 50 or $100 out of each paycheck for those 4 years straight, which would have put me in a really nice position, right, later on in life. But after I graduated, I moved to New Jersey and I had my student loan, my 40K in student loan debt. Plus, I got a brand new car because that's what you do. You get a big girl job, you get a car, and you live in
Yep.
a new city
Yep.
by yourself. So obviously, by the time when I graduated 2014, I was basically facing, I want to say like roughly $63,000 in debt. I'm like,
Yeah. Wow.
we're adulting. This is what you're supposed to do, the American dream. And I had rent. I didn't
Yep.
have any roommates. So I was like, this is my own place. I was furnishing my own apartment. So I remember I was like saving up for like 3 months before I had a couch. Because I'm an Aries. I'm the eldest daughter. I'm very independent. So I'm like, I'm not asking y'all for anything. I got this. So we worked our way through it. And thankfully, was it like 2016, so a couple years out, I got connected to a person at my employer who was Verizon at the time, who knew about this guy named Dave Ramsey. We do not love him now. But again, back then, that was my first introduction to it and got to learn about like the debt-free journey and paying off debt and like investing. Very slight introduction. So that kind of kicked off my like, okay, what is this financial literacy thing? Because all I knew was you pay your bills and you set aside a little something, something. That was it. But study about investing, I was auto enrolled in my 401k like so many of us are, but like you don't really know what that means and that you could give more if you can or give less if you so choose. And so from 2016 was my initial introduction into, I'll say 2017, I really started to take it on for myself and learn more. And at that time, at the like middle of 2017 in July, I had moved from from East Coast to the West Coast to take on a job in the tech industry. And that's where things skyrocketed because one, you're seeing your income grow at this point. I'm quite a few years out of college in my career. Two, I'm now in this different industry where they do compensation differently. So I'm getting a salary now, a bonus, and like some tech stock. Again, what the heck is that? And how does that work? Still trying to pay off my student loans and everything. But now the cost of living is also even more expensive. And so you're kind of forced to understand these things. And you're also then surrounded by a different group of people who have different mindsets who can expose you to new ways of thinking. And so fast forward, it's now 2025 and I've been like tracking my journey through my social media platform at Living in the Abundance, which started from me just like paying off my student loans, watch me struggle to now navigating corporate spaces and oh, we're getting a promotion here. So we're getting a little bit more money. And how is that influencing my approach to now being in this space where I'm focused on becoming financially independent, which really just means having enough invested that you could take away a little bit from that nest egg to sustain yourself, that it never runs out because you have enough for what your annual expenses look like. And for me, as much as I love my job and everything, I don't want to have to work until I'm 65. I want choice. I want the freedom to do and spend my time how I so choose, especially now as a new mommy. And it's like, oh, there's this cute little human I would love to spend time with. That requires money.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Yeah. A lot of money. They like you have no idea how much money.
people, if you're like, do I want to have kids? If you want to, do what works for you. But they cost some money.
They do. They really do. Thanks for walking through your journey through college until this point. And what really stands out for me is like you talked about how you weren't exposed to investing, and that resonates with me as well. Like also first gen college student, like I feel like we were taught to save, and that's what I primarily did. I like saved and hoarded. And even to this day, my husband is like, "Why do you have that much like, you need to invest it." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, oh, yeah."
But wait, but then I'm like, but it's because there's risk involved with investing as
There
well.
is.
Like there are no
Yeah.
guarantees. There are, I'll say, safe ways to calculated risk, as I say it, which is like you don't put all your eggs in like one stock or even like three stocks. You probably invest in what we say index funds, which is a collection of stocks. So that way, if one company has a bad year, another one's probably doing great. It's going to average out and keep moving up and to the right slowly but surely. But I love how you joked about that because it's the same thing. I have conversations with my dad. I'm like, you're retired. First of all, our parents, I don't know about yours, mine are in the age where like they actually still get a social security check and like, good for you people. What about us? But he's like happy with like how he's, building up his savings and everything. I was like, that's great, Dad. But it'd be better if we like took a little bit of that and invest it so me and my brothers could have a little legacy. That would be great. And then he's like,
Yeah.
nah.
He's like, "Can't take it with me. I'm gonna
Yeah.
use it all." Yeah.
Like, I don't trust that stock market stuff. And I was like, I get it, but
Yeah, it can be really scary because it is a literacy thing. Like there's so much unknown if you're not exposed to it. It's just a black box, and people can think like, well, I want to keep it for myself if I don't know like what exactly I'm putting it into. I'm just gonna hold it really close because I can control it if it's close.
right. Like in the savings account, whatever is the balance is the balance. Whereas, if you look at
Yeah.
the stock market this year, some stuff that's in the green right now, they had a couple months where they were red. And like you have to be able to stomach the highs with the low, but also not overcomplicate it. Like I have, if I really count it up, probably 10 things that I'm invested in terms of index funds and individual stocks. And like that's it. Strategy rarely changes, just like the percentage that certain things represent shift. But you don't have to overcomplicate things. And that's probably to your point, like the literacy piece. So much of the voices, or excuse me, so many of the voices in the financial industry, one, they don't look like us. They're mostly male of
Yeah.
Caucasian
Yep.
descent. Nothing wrong with that. But I need somebody who can like speak my language and use analogies or things that help me understand it, because it should be accessible to all folks, regardless of our backgrounds.
Absolutely. I'm curious, you talked about the platform that you've really put together, which is the Living in Abundance. You write about abundance a lot. I'm curious, what does abundance mean to you at this point in your life? Yeah.
Ooh, that's such a good question. It's evolved over time, and I think it's important. Like the question you asked, I think it's so important for all of us to reflect on that for ourselves, because it's so easy with
Mhm.
you get social media. Like we have a lot more noise for us as we enter in through adulthood than like what our parents and previous generations went through. Because there's obviously this idea of like, oh, abundance means you have a lot of money and you're just like making it rain on a yacht and you can buy whatever when like, and it's like to some people that might be the goal, but for me, it's more so like this idea of one having time freedom. Like I want to be able to spend my time how I choose, like time abundance. Financial abundance for me really means that I can afford to like eat out when I feel like it and not worry that I'm gonna like not be able to pay a phone bill. Like basic things. I want to be able to get my Cheesecake Factory with the $10 expensive cheesecake and not worry about not being able to put gas in my car. Like I'm not asking for a lot. Like I just, little things here or there. I'm big on travel. So I do like to be on vacation on an island somewhere like twice a year. But just twice a year. I don't need to be there like 24/7. I gotta mix it up. So like just being really crystal clear on like what brings you joy. And then we say spending like in alignment with that, like value-based spending. I've never been a stuff person. I have girlies who
Yeah,
they're gonna know
same.
what the latest designer that dropped is, and like they're gonna be fly from head to toe, and they look good doing it. I'm like, go ahead, sis. For me though, I can't fathom spending like thousands of dollars on a wardrobe. That's just never gonna work for me. But if it works for you, do you. But like travel and food, yeah, I want to eat good. And half the time I can cook, but I have so many things I'm trying to do. That takes time away from me, right? Or to be able to have like a laundry delivery service or a cleaning lady or something, like stuff like that. And to have enough to afford that is key for me.
Yeah, I love what you mentioned about value-based spending. I think that's the first time that I've heard that phrase before, actually. But I talk a lot about values with clients and making decisions based on values, and it is connecting what's important to you to how you're spending your money and actually staying true to that.
Oh my goodness. I can only imagine the stories that you've heard and you've coached people through around, because you do like professional development, like the career coaching piece. Like so many, I call us corporate queens, are struggling because we're either in roles that are not aligned to our values or they don't play to our strengths. And it's like, you have to spend 40 hours a week at this place of employment anyways. How can you be aligned in where you're spending your time and utilizing your skill sets? And so it's the same thing with your finances, same
Yeah.
thing with your relationships, like the people you're in community and in connection with. Do y'all share the same values? You don't have to, well, I don't want to go down that line, but like there are certain things you probably need to, like
Yeah.
there's certain things that you probably should have alignment on. But also, if
Yes.
you love rock music and I'm an R&B girly, we don't have to agree on the music piece to just kind of keep a
Yes.
safe space before we go
Yes.
down the rabbit hole. But you get what I'm saying.
Yes, yes, definitely. Absolutely. I'm curious because you talked about like a lot of clients that I work with do talk about living in alignment. They're in the corporate world. They're kind of stressed out by their job. I'm curious, how is your, because you do your community on top of your full-time work, on top of other things as well. How, like, tell me a little bit about the career. What's that look like for you? You're juggling a lot.
Yeah, like me with my just where am I juggling balls? I should be just throwing up and catching and semi dropping. So I have taken on a lot, and I will say part of it is like just how I was kind of raised, the expectations. Like again, only girl, the firstborn, the ambitious one. So I've kind of for years leaned into that persona, and I've had to kind of reclaim that for myself through a good 3 years of therapy, to be honest. Shout out to my therapist auntie, she's the best. So in this season, It's from a career side. I'm a workshop facilitator. So I lead virtual and in-person trainings, which I love. And I feel very privileged, like to your coaching practice, right? It's this idea of what I'm great at, which is I love empowering people. I love teaching. I love motivating. And I also creating like a safe space to have fun while we're learning. So I feel privileged. Like that's where I sit in my career right now. I've tried on many different hats and landed here like years ago and kind of stayed in this learning development space. And I think no matter what I do next, as I consider a move or so, maybe I want to stay in like learning development, the empowerment piece. Like that's my 9 to 5, and that's kind of like clockwork for me. Because again, with that alignment, I'm not exerting extra energy. Like it's something that comes naturally, which again is a privilege, and I call it what it is. The life side of things, like I'm married. We're gonna be celebrating like 10 years in May, which is so crazy to
Oh my
say.
gosh.
Sorry, we survived 10 years because let's be real, if you're married, you know that it's a journey. It's a beautiful one, but we're not gonna act like it's all roses. Like, and we were babies
Yeah.
when we got together in my mind. We got married young compared to most people. So it's been a great journey to grow up together and now mommyhood with a soon to be 3-year-old. So like that's really
Yeah.
fun. I have my boys, as I call them. And then in the midst of all this, you now have like this 5 to 9 side hustle, but like trying to make it into a formalized business called Living in the Abundance. And it's just this idea of taking my learning development skill set and my heart of honestly just mentorship and coaching as well for like the next generation of like young women, like folks like us who like first gens particularly as well, who are just trying to figure it out. And also because we are raising children for their future world and we want it to look and be a productive place, how do we literally lift as we climb? Like, I do not believe that just because I had to struggle and trailblaze and learn things, that the people coming behind me should have to get it out the mud when I can give you a literal playbook to at least help you like skip chapters 1 through 5, start on chapter 6, and then keep going because we all have a journey. We all do need to like go through things to develop our character, our morals, our values, etc. But like some lessons, if I can just read it in a book and just pay attention, can we skip this one? Like
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's what we've been doing, career coaching, personal finance coaching, which somehow crazily manifested into a book that came out earlier this year. And now, more recently, and really the last piece is like the community service aspect for me. I've done so much in private. Like, if you know, you know, you've been connected and tuned in or benefited from things. And so now, as I'm like in this pageantry space, which is brand new for me because I am not like a beauty queen girly. I don't know how to do lashes. What's a bronzer? Like, seriously. But
Yeah.
I've been connected to the right systems with women in leadership who are really trying to get back to the heart of just women who are trying to make a difference in their community. And so now, as Mrs. California Black United States 2026, I am
Snaps.
like, it's a time. I'm in this privileged position to help actually help this new pageant system like from the ground up, the first one in
Wow.
California. So I take a lot of pride and responsibility to set a standard of how we serve out here. And my ultimate goal, and I have till like June of next year when I go for the national title, is to launch a nonprofit. I really want to get into like fundraising again because I see what's out there. And like for you and I, we can, like we both graduated with tens of thousands in student loans. We would have loved an extra scholarship or something to just relieve a part of that journey. So that's where my heart is now, launching a foundation and fundraising for scholarships and taking what I do in my business, but also having like the nonprofit component. So that way, again, I've got like, if you can't pay me, you should still have access to the opportunity. I think no matter where we're at in life, we should all
Yeah.
have access.
Yeah.
And so how can I
Yeah.
offer it for both sides? Just meet people where they are. And so that's all the things we're
Yeah.
juggling right now.
I love it. What is so amazing, I think, about the work that you're doing, I'm kind of having like a deja vu moment just because like we were in high school like together, but it's like I would have killed to have someone like you guiding me through the path of high school because it's like all of the knowledge, the education, the wisdom that you're sharing through your book, through your community, like both of us, like
Where was the help?
like Yeah. We did a lot on our own. A lot of people we grew up with did, and it's just, yeah, seeing the work that you're doing now is really inspiring and really powerful. So,
Thank
yeah.
you. And shout out to City Honors, our alma mater, because they stressed us out, you know what I'm saying? A little bit.
They did.
Like, why are we taking all these AP and IB classes? And I mean, it did definitely help in the structure and the rigor. But to your
Yeah.
point, like, uh, and and it's crazy. I don't know, like I'm not as active on Facebook. I don't know if you are when you see folks from our
Not really.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a little bit, but a little bit that pops up. I'm so proud of all of our City Honor Centaurs because for a lot of us were first gen. A lot of us came from different diverse, underrepresented backgrounds. And so many of us have done the best we could with our resources to truly try to do something different than maybe what were the examples that we saw growing up. And that is so it's not an easy thing to do. And now a lot of us also are having kids and we're like going to help them go a step further. But I think it's a testament of just taking advantage of whatever resources that you have, having a plan for your life, going with the flow as life happens to us all as we go through it, but also know that like sky's the limit. Like people I've seen that we grew up with that are like they launched their own businesses. They're going on to get like masters and doctorate degrees or they're being stay-at-home parents, and that's cool too. Like, do you, but
Yeah.
creating
Yeah.
our own
Yeah.
joy and living our truth out loud has just been beautiful to witness.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm curious about, so you talked a little bit about your transition to undergrad, and I'm curious, did you ever feel like othered in your environment as someone coming from like you're coming from Buffalo going to the Ivy League? Yeah.
Come from Buffalo, New York. Like people from
Yeah.
Buffalo are going and like, yes, people from Buffalo do go on to do amazing things. But yeah, I mean, it was crazy even within like the black community there were different status levels, to be honest. Like you had the folks who were local from Philly and like just knew the culture and it was so cool, but it was like that's not me, like teach me please, right? And then you had folks that clearly there were certain schools I learned after the fact that had a strong pipeline and relationship with UPenn. So you had like those people and they came in all knowing each other. You had like the third group that like came from affluent black families. Absolutely love that for them. Wasn't me, but love to see it. And so even within Penn, and I'll say was a benefit, you started to see the realities of what adulthood would look like after college with like just the different groups as a whole within certain communities, etc. There were definitely, again, going back to like the earlier point where I didn't feel like I could access certain opportunities because financially I just, you want to join a certain club, a certain sorority, whichever, you need to be able to afford those dues, which just like I didn't have that to do per se. And also because of my reality as being first gen, and my main goal was like, I need to graduate with a job to afford life. Like that was where I was laser focused. And so because of that, I was taking on so many classes. Like I could have graduated a year early. That's how many extra classes I was taking on top of 3 to 4 different extracurriculars at the same time with that. Like I didn't sleep during college. There was no sleeping happening like that.
Neither did
Uh,
I.
there's so many pictures from like my best friends in college where like I'm just like passed out at 3 a.m. in the study lounge, taking a 20-minute nap and then getting right back to it because I was just so focused on like, this has to be worth it. Also, $40,000 of student debt looming. So I felt others. And then I was also kind of like, I guess, kind of othering myself because I just had a different reality that I was navigating. Like I could not fail.
Yeah. It was a survive you were
Survive.
we
Yes.
talk about like surviving versus thriving. It's like you when you were in college, it was the
Straight
survival. You had to make it through.
survival.
You had to make it worth it, especially as a first gen too.
Everything. Yeah, it's like Amanda's gotta make it, like, so many again, shout out to my family, like, whether it was the words of encouragement, if that was all they had to give, but it was so important to hear that, like, that's what kind of kept me going too, because I had little cousins that I knew were, like, looking up to me. I had older cousins
Yeah.
who didn't have the ability to go down a similar path because of different things they had to deal with in life. Like when I opened saying I had the privilege of not having adult responsibilities put on me as a child, that was not the reality for a lot of my family members. And so I I took that for a lot of and carried that weight for a long time. Again, until thank God for my auntie therapist, because that's also not healthy. You don't want to crash
Yeah.
out and burn and like you don't have to hold those weight of expectations. But I will say, with all things in life, it works together in the end. And those
Yeah.
pressures, at least early on, also helped me be the person I am today. So I'm grateful for my journey, again, the highs and the lows throughout.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm curious with the people that you work with in your community, are there common kind of misconceptions that you hear from them about money?
Oh my goodness, all the misconceptions, because a lot of people I work with work 9 to 5s as well, and they're mainly women of color, usually Black and brown communities. So like, I feel like I'm talking to my little sisters and my little cousins is how I like relate to them. And I mean, a big one for us is this idea of having to work like 2, 3 times as hard for half as much, and it affects how we show up in our spaces. And so we're doing all this great work. And then the other issue is it's like, oh, our work should speak for ourselves. But we know that's also not the case. There's this game about relationships and like having the right people in your corner. And we're already exhausted from working harder than everybody in the first place. Now I got to do the smoozing and the happy hours. And I'm not paid to talk to you after 5 o'clock. Like literally, I was coaching one of my little sisters today on this because they went around an offsite and then they want dinner from 7 to 10. I'm like, dip out at 8:30 at the latest. Bye. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like the career side, and then you get to the money piece. And it's like, oh, well, if you have this fancy job or whatever, well, now you have to look the part. Now you got to have the Chanel bag and your hair looking a certain way. And it's like, no, you don't. But for so
Yeah.
long, we've been conditioned to believe that if we don't maintain a certain look, if we don't exude a certain type of presence, that like we won't have access to certain spaces. And I mean, if we're honest, there are some environments that do reinforce those negative stereotypes and expectations. But I will say what I appreciate about the generation coming behind us, like Gen Z specifically?
Yeah, Gen Z.
Gen
Yeah.
Z's like, oh no, this is crazy. We're not doing this. Like they are quick to just cut everything off that's toxic. And I
Yep.
feel like there should be some balance there, but I'm here for it. Like, no. And so with
Yeah.
me, it's like, again, back to the value-based spending conversation. I do love breakfast and I love brunch, but I don't feel the pressure to have to do brunch on Saturdays with bottomless mimosas because that's $100 easily. I have goals. That 100 can go into a sinking fund for the new car that I may want, or it can go into, the more luxury nail appointment with the spa and the facial, whatever. Like we have to free ourselves from other people's expectations. This idea of keeping up with the Joneses. Has anybody met Joneses? Who are these people? Why are we trying to keep up with them? I don't know her. Freeing ourselves from expectations and making sure you have people in your community that are okay with that. Like I'll give this example. The whole going out to dinner for like birthdays and like celebrations. It's okay to have that conversation in advance of like, are we expected to all split the bill? Is it all going on one person? Like, there's no wrong way to approach a celebration dinner with friends and family, but like let people know in advance the expectation. So their budget, if it aligns, they can show up and turn out. And if they don't have it, they can tell you, I don't have it. Is that gonna be a problem? I stay home because I remember I went to one of my friends' like bridal dinners and everybody was ordering steaks and lobsters. And first of all, I like steak a little bit, but not like that. So I only ordered a little appetizer, a little coconut shrimp. Like that's what I wanted. And they're like, let's all split the bill together. And I'm like, y'all ordered like $150 worth of food each. Mine was 50 at most with my drink. No, I'm not subsidizing your
Yeah.
meal. And like, she was like, Amanda's not going to do that. That makes no sense. So it's important to have people who understand where you're at in your journey and support you, go from there.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I love what you're saying because we talk about the value-based spending. It's also like, are the people in your network you don't necessarily well, I always say, like, do people in your network or friends, family, do they share similar values? But it takes a reflecting on your values first and foremost. Like, I meet some clients where they don't know what their values are because they haven't questioned it before. Like, the beliefs have been inherited. And so it's really powerful exercise to sit down and start to identify that. And then when you start to, it just opens up everything of just like what activities are in your life, who's in your life, who are you surrounding yourself with, just so much. Yeah.
So much. And it's one of the things I'm on the book is around like the black tax, the brown tax, the first gen tax, which is once you do start to get in alignment and you're starting to see financial success and everything, there is this expectation of like going back and helping your community, helping your family. And part of the challenge with that sometimes is when those expectations are put on you before you've even found stability for yourself. When we talk about this now, nearly 10-year journey, like 2016, now approaching 2026 next year, it was not easy. It was not all sunshine and roses. There was a lot of thunderstorms with certain conversations with certain folks in my circle as well, because we had different ideals around finances and how things should be used or given or shared, and just a different mindset around money. And so, as long as you're staying true to yourself, I would say looking back on it, as much as I hated living through certain moments when those conversations came up, to now be in a place where it's like, oh, I get why you moved the way you move. I understand the decisions that you've made. We see the success as a result of those things. And even if I don't feel like I have it in me to follow a certain pathway, which is their choice to believe in or not, you now see what's possible. But it's, oh my goodness, it sucks. It's so hard. And it's, for me in a place now where like I love to travel, I know that for certain things I want to do, I might have to foot the bill if I want certain people to come with me because of where they're at. And like, if I'm okay with that, then cool. I'm going to be the sponsor for the trip or whatever. But if I don't want to do that, then I have to understand that might mean that certain people in my circle can experience certain experiences at the same level as what I want to do for them. That's
Yeah,
okay too.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one of the things that I talk to my therapist about is survivor's guilt sometimes. And it can relate to money in many ways because it has to do like maybe you feel guilt, shame that you've made it and you have money to invest, whereas you look back at your family and they don't have that. They don't have the same ways. They can't go on the vacations every so often. And there can be a guilt from that, especially as a first gen and making it out once you made it out. Yeah.
Yes. It's yeah, survivor's guilt, survivor's remorse. I feel like there's another word for it too that I was trying to think of. It's like it's tough as well because, and I'll just say shout out to my family though. They've been very understanding about it. Like, there's definitely been certain journeys and conversations, but they very clearly understand like Amanda has a certain vision for herself and she makes decisions in alignment with that. And that's why things look the way they do. That's why she'll splurge on some things and hold back on other things. And so again, over time, we've gotten to that level of understanding. But at the same time, it's like, are you giving enough? Should you be maybe doing more over here? But then again, going back to the fact of like, we're first gen. I don't say we didn't do anything special. We just made a different decision. Honestly, a series of different decisions that compound that combined with, I say luck, I say favor, opportunity, right? Because it all works together to get to these places we're at now. Like, I have siblings. We're all living three different lives by choice, right? They have different interests than me. I am more like ambition, success driven, very type A. They're more type B and C. So, like, you can't expect the same outcome. They'll become from the same, at least, footing to start with, right? And
Yeah.
so, people can look at my chapter 12, but I was at chapter 1 at one point. And my chapter 6, if you're on chapter 6, looked a lot like your chapter 6. So, like,
Yeah.
you have to compare in your right season for like what you're trying to do. But that's also again why the community service piece is so big to me now, because there's so much that I've learned to get to chapter 12 or whatever, that if you had that knowledge that I wish I had in chapter 2, or like you said, we were in high school, just having that mentor, that game changer literally impacts the rest of their life, but not just them, like their family, their community. Like, if you can touch one life and change their trajectory, you're touching everybody who's also going to be connected to them over the course of their life as well.
Yeah. So true. I'm curious. You talked about the chapters and where you are now versus the past. If you could, yeah, what's the biggest lesson that you wish you could have told your younger self about money, success? Yeah.
God, that's such a deep question. And the one day I was talking to one of my sister queens and we ended our conversation. I asked her that exact same question and she was mad at me because it's such a deep question. What would I tell younger Amanda? Whew, without getting emotional, that's all going to work out. and be okay, and it's worth it, and it's okay to be different. You know, if we were to go deeper into like the high school years and everything, it was a challenging time socially for me, which many people may not fully know that unless you were like a part of the inner circles and seen how I was treated at certain points of time. Like, there was the story I always share was stupid, but there was, like 8 or 10 of us at least in like I'll say our multicultural group. And the lunch tables could only fit like six or something. Like, I don't know why we couldn't do the math of combining tables together. Not I'm like, why do we have to fight for a seat at the table? But like, I would legit go and have lunch by myself in the library at times, like if I didn't have a seat at the table. Now, again, hindsight 2020, I also had like the highest GPA because I was in these books because I wasn't eating with the girlies. So like, everything works out. But for a lot of my life, as you asked the question, like being othered, I've always felt like I was on an island alone at times with certain things because the way that I was raised, like my dad was deacon in the church. My mom worked for the police department, which meant I couldn't do anything because everything is like your safety or Jesus. Like, you just, like, I laugh about it now, but when you're going through like high school and stuff, you want to fit
Yeah.
in. It would not have been possible for me to fit in. Like my parents, again, they didn't really care about the material things. Like I wasn't wearing the latest J's and all that. Like my clothing game was not it. I was clothed. I was naked, we were warm in the wintertime, which was again a blessing, but we were not swagalicious, not at all. And so for a lot of my childhood, it was a lot of just feeling like I don't fit in. And again, now that I've grown and looking back on it, that was part of my purpose, was to stick out, to empower others to feel okay in their own literal skin and journey of like just being uniquely you. Because, folks who blend in rarely make history. You're just like everybody else, right? When we talk about the people, the legends that we celebrate, it's because they dared to be different. I want to say today is the 62nd anniversary of Martin Luther King's March on Washington. Hopefully I got that correct. That brother didn't blend with nobody. He stuck out and was literally on a pedestal. Like, let's talk about it. So, and it's because of him that we have certain freedoms and things that we enjoy today because he started these conversations to fight for us and our rights and just being treated as freaking humans and equals. So all that to say though, when you're going through it, you're just like, you want to fit in, you want to blend, especially in your childhood and youth. You want to be,
Yeah.
you want
And
that.
assimilate.
And you don't learn until later
Yeah.
on in life that like all that stuff literally is over once that season is over. Once you get grown, you care less about what other people think because you're not going to be in touch with them like that anyways. You're focused on your immediate family, friend groups, and all that. And so to tell, little Amanda that like, this is for a reason, it's for a greater purpose. You're going to be fine. You will find people that will actually appreciate you for you and your uniqueness and the things you do differently. You'll find like-minded people who also value the same things that you value and will love your quirkiness and all of that. And that, I think that's what I would tell her. Like, it's all gonna be worth it.
Yeah. I'm like getting emotional now
Oh,
because
what would you tell
no,
your
like
younger self?
our experiences in high school were very similar in the feeling of being othered, and I'm even like having just flashbacks. I can remember you in your outfit going to
Oh
work,
my
your
God.
McDonald's outfit in school
Because you were
and
the
in
year
class. So,
above me,
yeah.
but I do
Yes,
remember because you
yeah.
had your own friend group as well, and I knew of your
Yeah.
groups in your year, and that's a whole other story because I had some challenges with some of them people too. Um,
Mhm.
but we love that everybody is healing and growing now. But
Yes.
yeah, to
Yes.
laugh at
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting too. Like obviously we're so far along in our careers and in completely different places, but it's like everyone has these visceral memories of growing up and in high school we can come back
Drama.
to. But yeah. Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
man, yeah. Our school had some characters.
Yeah. Seriously. Well, one thing I can say, like, it has been such a gift to witness your journey, like, over really the last few decades and where you are now, and even seeing all of your pictures of pageantry and how you're giving back to the community. So I feel really, really, really grateful that you had time to spend with us today and the listeners were able to hear more about your journey. If listeners do want to connect with you, what's the best way to get in touch?
Absolutely. So the main ways would be my website, which is www.livingintheabundance.co. Yes, .co, because .com was taken by somebody. So that's what we're working with. Or on social media at Living in the Abundance or at Mrs. Amanda J. Henry. I am an open book, so please slide through if you want career or personal financial coaching. Right there on the website, you can just book that with me or just slide into the DMs. Be respectful, of course, but always open to connect and give back and also to collaborate on things. Like, again, service is a big piece for me. And so if you have an event coming up and you need a speaker or you just, want to co-create something magical, like, let's do it. So thank you so much also for your time, just to give you your flowers as well, because
Yeah.
just watching your journey. I remember, I feel like I saw that you launched your business on LinkedIn first before I saw it on Instagram and see you post things, which is an inspiration for me because I haven't been as vocal on LinkedIn. I'm like a little like, oh my gosh, those are like the grown-ups for real, for real. And you're like putting yourself out there and seeing success, and entrepreneurship is not easy. So kudos to you for doing
Thank
that.
you. Thank you. Yeah, as a mom for both of
Oh my
us
God.
too. As
Yeah.
moms,
What's the
yeah.
time?
Well, thank you, Amanda. It was such a gift to have you today. I really
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
Thanks for being here. If something in this episode landed with you, feel free to pass it along to someone who might need it too. You can leave a review, subscribe, or just keep tuning in. We're figuring it out together. And remember, your story, your voice, your becoming, it all matters.